welcome back to Tech Talks, the People and Planet podcast. I'm your host, Tony Marsh, and today we have a remarkable guest with us, Vanessa Westphal, the COO and co-founder of Choosy. Join us as we share a journey from studying electrical engineering and IT to ultimately revolutionizing how we approach our food choices. Choosy is on a mission to make good food the easiest choice for everyone, prioritizing health, affordability, and sustainability. Vanessa, it's an absolute pleasure to have you here today.
Hi, Tony. Thanks for having me.
No worries at all. No worries. So, yeah, I guess just to kind of sort of dive right in, I think it'd be interesting to understand a little around your journey, and I think it'd be great for the listeners to kind of understand how you kind of sort of went from, as I mentioned just before in that little intro, studying electrical engineering and IT, and then later transitioning, I think, to managing consulting firms. I wondered if you could just walk us through the moments that kind of sort of prompted you to shift from a corporate career to becoming an entrepreneur with Choosy, really.
Yeah, sure. It's, I think, from an outside perspective, maybe not looking like a very straight path, but maybe I can shed some light on it. To be honest, when I decided to study electrical engineering, I was just looking for a subject that has, that is quite promising. Let's put it that way. I was looking at the German DAX CEOs, and I checked what they studied, and I realized, okay, if I do something technical, I should be on a good track. So I was super ambitious about my career choices when I was younger. And that's why I started studying it initially, but ultimately then I got super interested in it, and especially about the part how we can use technology to influence the way we live and also our planet ultimately at this point now. So I'm generally just interested in technology. So it was the right choice for me, even though I chose it for career reasons mainly. And well, then over time, I spent almost 10 years in the corporate environment, and also the different stations there, from being a solution architect and programming to being a management consultant, and ultimately building an innovation unit and helping entrepreneurs, so corporate internal entrepreneurs, to launch their own business, to get a business idea they're excited about that also fits to the strategy of the company, and to think like an entrepreneur. And that's when I ultimately realized that I'm super interested in entrepreneurship. And I was always standing on the sidelines with my team and coaching the entrepreneurs. I realized I would like to do it myself, and I would like to do it separately without the corporate backing.
Sure.
So yeah, that was the starting point. And then the other perspective, because Choosy is actually a tech company, but from the space that we operate in, we're definitely in the food industry, tackling our food system ultimately. And I've been always interested in this space as a hobby, but of course, that's not really visible to all my previous colleagues who were wondering when I switched out of corporate, why the heck I would go into nutrition when I studied electrical engineering. But there is actually a very deep connection. And yeah, we're a tech company, so what we do is very, very technical, but it has a connection to a passion of mine.
Cool. No, thanks for sharing that. And I think, there's a lot of, when you read, I've read a few kind of sort of books on, sort of founders, 0 to 1 stuff. And, a lot of them kind of sort of talk about turning their kind of sort of dreams into action. And, I guess your sort of entrepreneurial journey was ignited by a dream about your products. I wondered if maybe you could kind of sort of share the pivotal steps that you took to turn that dream into a tangible business, and how eventually that kind of sort of led to the creation and development of Choosy, really.
It indeed started with a dream. Not at that point, not about Choosy, the name Choosy. In my dream, there was a different name, or rather, I would say there was no name. I actually dreamed of an advertisement about the solution, and I dreamt of how it would feel to use it. I've never had a dream like this before, so it's definitely not a typical dream of mine. I was super confused when I woke up, but I woke up with the feeling this is what I want to do. And I instantly took the first steps to work on it and convinced friends to work on it together with me. But it was friends from my bubble, so we didn't really make that much progress, at least
Sure.
as I knew you would have to make
Yeah.
if you want to have it as like the topic as a or the project as a startup. And I guess then things just fell into place themselves. At that point, or after about half a year after we started working on, we called it Freddy Eats at that time, there was basically just a change in strategy and focus at the company that I was working at, and the department that I built was not longer the main focus in the strategy. And personally, that was a very sad moment for me because me and the team, we put in so much work, but also that was the point where I realized I want to work somewhere where my work is the priority.
Sure.
And even though it was such a down phase, it was the best thing that could have happened to me. Of course, I didn't know it at that time, but it really motivated me to seek out other entrepreneurs to try the Y Combinator co-founder matching platform. And that's where I ultimately found my two co-founders who were working at the same topic. They called it Choosy. They already had an basically working MVP, and they showed it to me, and I was like, this is exactly what I had in mind. And it was such a scary moment, and yet also such a really amazing moment, because they were like the 20th conversations with potential co-founders that I had during that time. And all those conversations before were really frustrating for me, because within the first 1 or 2 minutes, I always realized, okay, no, doesn't fit. And with them, I realized in the first 2 minutes, this is a fit. Not only just from the topic, but also on a personal level.
Cool. No, that sounds great. So I think with Choosy, obviously it aims to make, I guess, good and healthier kind of sort of food choices easier for everyone. So I wondered if you could maybe elaborate on how Choosy combines nutrition and sustainability in its mission to ultimately transform consumer habits and promote healthier and more environmentally friendly choices, I guess.
Very long question. I try to do my best to answer in a very simple way. So from a consumer standpoint, so us every day walking into the supermarket, it's just the easiest to pick convenience food, to pick stuff that is just really unhealthy for us. And that's not just unhealthy for us, but also for the planet. And actually, my first job was working in one of the German large retailers. And that's also when I realized that what we have in supermarket shelves isn't necessarily serving us. And I guess that's where also the idea already started growing. Well, how could we change this? And our ambition with Choosy is to make good food the simplest choice. And why do we say good food? Meaning better in terms of how you eat right now. You don't need to be perfect. Our ambition is not to make everybody perfect, but to help people to actually achieve their goals, because a lot of people want to eat healthier. And making it the easiest choice means it needs to be affordable for everybody, and it needs to be not as time consuming. And also, there are a lot of psychological tricks in the supermarket that make you choose things you do not necessarily want to choose. And so we need to get rid of those and put you in a different environment where you can make choices that are better for you. So this is our approach. And therefore, health and sustainability are really a core part of what we do. If we don't manage to really help every single user on our platform eat healthy and more sustainable without having them feel like they're dieting, because that doesn't work. But if we don't manage to do that, we're ultimately failing.
Yeah.
So that was always the ambition. And all these other things, like making sure that it's cheaper, making sure that it's more fun, making sure that it tastes really good. Those are the things kind of building the basis in order to achieve our mission.
Understood. And you mentioned earlier about Choosy being what was the word, like a pure tech solution ultimately, although being in the kind of sort of food and nutrition space. And obviously that tech solution allows you to offer cost savings to customers. I know that we've, through kind of sort of previous chats that we've had, that there is an AI element to your application. I wondered if maybe you could give us a bit of insight into how that kind of sort of learns individual tastes and preferences to suggest healthier and more sustainable meal plans for your users.
Yeah, of course. So maybe let's start with the basis. What we do is an app, or you could say a platform, but we think mobile first. We think the trend is always moving closer to the body, like app, and then ultimately maybe smartwatch and things like that. So that's why we started also with an app. And Choosy is, you could say, an everyday tool. It helps you to plan, to do your grocery shopping. That is what we do for you as a consumer. And in the back end, what you don't necessarily see right away is the AI that learns your personal taste. The basis for that was actually the Spotify Discover Weekly algorithm.
Okay.
And we kind of adapted the logic for food. But there are a lot more factors that go into it. For example, nutritional factors, as is your weekly meal plan that the app really individually suggests to you, is it healthy? Is it climate friendly? And we also use elements of gamification, such as showing you 2 little scores, a health score and a sustainability score, that just give you an indication. You don't need to always choose the recipes that the app suggests in your meal plan. You can also choose your own. You can swipe through the recipes and you can see in real time how that affects the health and the sustainability score. And when you use the app, you'll see it's fun swiping, and a lot of people like it. And it's also fun learning a bit about your nutrition in this really easy way. In our newest version, we'll even have a budget information in there, so you can eat according to your budget, because that's quite relevant, especially with inflation. Now people need to stay within their budgets, so we want to make sure that that's possible, and that is not the stopping factor. So that's how it works. And then there are some, I would say, like general filters, like the time you have for cooking or preparing your meal, not just for the main dish, but we're also adding the opportunity to add like breakfast and snacks and dinner. So one element is really the usability during every day, because if it's not feasible during, for example, a really packed workday, it doesn't help. And then the other element is the really smart element about it, including pricing, including nutritional factors, taste, and sustainability factors.
Cool. So just to understand, so the application actually gives you the option to use kind of sort of preset like meals, essentially, like the ingredients and the methods of actually cooking that, and also that actually gives you the kind of sustainability scores and things like that as well with that. But also you can just kind of sort of use that to sort of create your own sort of shopping list as well. Is that right?
Yeah, you can use it as a normal shopping list. Whenever you think of something that you need for the week, you can add it. But when you do the planning for the week, that's when the planning tool comes in. So you plan your meals, and then that's where the AI really helps you. But another part where the AI also helps is when pre-filling your basket. It learns what is your favorite product, and therefore you save a lot of time, because you would have ultimately always taken that product. So we make sure that it gets into your basket. Or if you like to shop organic products, for example, then that is also something that Choosy helps with, and therefore saves a lot of time.
Yeah, no, that's great. It's really intriguing. I guess so. Again, just kind of sort of from kind of sort of previous chats that we've had, I understand that Choosy is like a more sustainable and a cheaper option than more kind of sort of traditional meal kit services. Could you elaborate, I guess, how Choosy collaborates with supermarkets and incorporates things like seasonal recipes and supermarket discounts to ultimately provide that kind of sort of cost-effective and eco-friendly sort of options to the users as well?
Mm-hmm. So let's start with meal kits. How meal kit providers typically work is they start with sourcing the ingredients, they develop their recipes, or according to the recipes they've developed, they have a certain range of recipes that they offer you where to choose from. Then you get your box with the portions that you need. So they adapt the packaging to the recipes, and then they send it to you. And we kind of turn the logic on its head. So we say there are a gazillion recipes out there. And of course, taste and allergies and everything is so different. So there we have this personalization logic. And so you could see it as a platform. So on one hand, we connect to the recipes that are out there already. And on the other hand, we connect to retailers because the infrastructure and the sourcing and everything is already there. So we do not need to reinvent it. And maybe, I don't know, you have a preference for organic stores while your neighbor prefers discounting stores, you know? And so we take that into consideration and therefore also connect to all kinds of supermarkets. Right now, that's quite relevant for everybody who's listening. We're live in the DACH region, so in Germany, Switzerland, and Austria, but we plan to expand as soon as we've really established within the DACH regions. There are a couple of retailers we still want to connect to, so we will definitely do that, and then we will most probably start with an English version. But let's see. And the retailers are really our partners to help us provide really this meal kit-like experience, this kind of organized experience. I mean, ultimately, it comes down to solving the problem to the question, what to eat today. It's like, I think, top 10 of all-time Google requests, because it's such an annoying question. Everybody knows it, especially if you have kids. Then you have to make somebody else satisfied as well. This is so annoying. And then also you have high standards for your kids because you want the best for them. You want them to be healthy. And and that's what we do. So we kind of put the recipes in an order that makes sense with the packaging size. And I'm really, really looking forward to our new version, which will already include pantry management. And therefore, we are able to say, okay, you bought, for example, rice or curry or something like that, and you have some parts of it left over, included in your meal plan next week, or also especially things that go bad. We want to make sure that you use all of it, and that's from a budget perspective super efficient. So when we only do the meal planning, and what we do already, we are at 40% below meal kits. But when we include the pantry management, we are able to go even lower.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting actually, and it was it's a really valid point, and it was something that I was going to mention, because obviously you mentioned there about the kind of sort of traditional meal kits. Ultimately they send you exactly what you need. So yeah, it's interesting that because obviously a lot of the issues that we have within the kind of sort of food sector at the moment is that potential of food waste, and obviously if people are buying their own ingredients from supermarkets, then that could have a high possibility of having food waste. So it's really great that actually you're kind of sort of incorporating that as well. So how does that kind of sort of pantry management aspect work then? Does that just suggest things that you can use your leftovers for, or how does that work?
Yeah, maybe short question back to you. So how do you do pantry management at the moment? Then I can.
Well, I think from my perspective, it's definitely something that could use help. There's definitely quite a bit of food waste that does go on in my household, and it is kind of sort of something I guess that I'm quite conscious of. But you know, a lot of the time, as you say, things go bad, or, you know, you don't have time to use them in busy work schedules and things like that. So yeah, it definitely does happen, and, you know, something that would be great to have a solution for effectively.
Yeah. And would you be able, on the top of your mind right now, to say what is in your pantry?
Most definitely not off the top of my head. No, I don't
Yeah.
think. No,
And
ultimately.
and when you are in the supermarket, do you know what's in your pantry?
I'm not too bad with that, actually. I do often sort of check what we've got in, you know, and look at, you know,
Yeah.
what we can sort of eat that week, and kind of sort of do try to sort of plan around that. But even when you do try plan around that, sometimes, like I say, things get in the way, or, you know,
Yeah.
you might decide to eat out or something. So there is often kind of sort of food waste. So yeah,
Yeah.
interesting to kind of understand around that.
Yeah, it takes so much time, right? You need to look and
Yeah.
check what's already there. Then you need to find matching recipes. And let's say even if you would have a system, which is the current level of like tech there, where
Yeah.
you would like type in I don't know, cucumbers and tomatoes and
Yeah.
suggest something, then this is still quite inefficient, right? Because you
Yeah.
would have
Sure.
to do that for all the ingredients you have in your fridge, and then you kind of have to remember when what goes bad. So there's still a lot of manual labor. So what we
Yeah.
do is we kind of close the loop. So you have all the ingredients in your fridge. So or let's start with planning from the planning logic. You plan your week, you shop, and Choosy asks you, did you shop everything? You say yes. Then it moves it automatically into your pantry. And then whenever you cook, it takes it out of your pantry. And for the new planning, it suggests based on what is already in your is still in your pantry. You can check manually and see whether this is still correct. You can cross something off if you ate it separately,
Sure.
but most of it is automated. And the
Wow.
nice
Yeah.
thing about it is that Choosy knows exactly how you store things, and if they're still edible. And we also know kind of prioritize things that are about to go bad, like the next
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
Make
Yeah.
sure you plan a recipe for that like, as
Wow.
soon
Yeah.
as possible. And so it takes off all the mental load from the entire planning process. And that is our goal, because food waste, which is like 60% of food waste, is in private households, and just because it's so freaking difficult to plan.
Yeah. Sure. Sure. Well, it definitely sounds like yeah, it would certainly help me to download the Choosy app for sure. So no, it sounds like a great solution to that food waste problem, actually, within as you say, private households. I guess sort of final question then, really, from my side, and just something to, I guess, that may help kind of sort of resonate to anyone listening. I wondered if maybe you could share like a personal experience from your own food journey that kind of sort of really led you to be passionate about, you know, transforming the way that people approach their, you know, dietary choices, nutrition, and I guess kind of sort of overall well-being, really.
Mhm. Yeah, my passion for food comes from a actually very, very personal moment. My brother used to have neurodermatitis and asthma,
Oh,
and when he was a very young kid already, so he was 3 years old when he got it. And we as a family really had to make sure that he gets all the nutrients that he needs, and on the other hand, also doesn't consume anything that is bad for
sure.
him.
Yeah.
And nutrition was the one therapy that really, really worked for him. But we had to be really strict about it. And at that point in time, my mom was like a single mom, and she had, yeah, I don't know how it's in the UK, but in Germany, we had like those mass market retailers, and then we have specific ones that have mainly organic foods and
Sure.
that are more health focused, but they're really, really price intensive. So
Yeah.
we could not shop the entire shopping basket for the entire family at those markets. So what my mom did was cook twice, and so my brother always had to eat something separate. And of course, to him, it didn't feel so good, and he always wanted to try something from our plates. And when we weren't looking, he was doing exactly that. And the interesting part was when he did that, you could tell the next day from his skin.
Really? Wow.
And that was really so shocking for me. I mean, I didn't really understand anything. I'm 3 years older than my brother, so I was 6, so I didn't really get it. The only thing that I got was, oh wow, what we eat really makes a difference.
Yeah, sure.
And I think good nutrition is a basic human right. I think healthy nutrition should be available for everyone. And yeah, I think it is possible, but it requires a lot of change in the way our food system works.
Yeah, no, totally agree. So thank you for sharing that. And obviously glad that you kind of sort of found a solution that did work ultimately there. Look, Vanessa, I think that obviously kind of sort of brings us to the end of the episode. And thank you to our guests for listening to another insightful episode of Tech Talks, the People and Planet podcast. Again, huge thank you to Vanessa for sharing her incredible journey and the innovative work that Choosy are doing. So it's just one to remember, guys, that small changes in our food choices really can lead to big impacts for both our health and also the planet. So stay tuned for more engaging conversations, and as always, stay curious and keep innovating. And Vanessa, again, it's been an absolute pleasure having you, and hope to speak again soon.
Thanks, Tony.
Cheers. Thanks a lot.